Hey guys, welcome to the Game Precast, episode 5. I'm Frank. I'm joined by,
I'm Mike.
and let's get right into this podcast episode. So, as you can see, the facial hair is getting very scruffy. It's looking like some pubes on my face, but in 7 days, I believe, I could shave it. So, November
Oh,
is
you've been
almost
doing that?
over. Oh, I will. Dude, it's looking like a
Well,
mess.
no, you've been doing the No Shave November thing.
Yes, I had a
I didn't attempt.
I had to compete in one of the challenges of November. Failed
Oh,
the other
I
one
compete.
on
I competed in none of the challenges of November. I'll leave it at that. But
um yeah, so what have you been playing, Mike?
this week, well, I tried out the Halo MCC 120 FPS update on Series X.
How'd that look?
Beautiful. Honestly, you can't tell much of a difference between 60 and 120, but my TV doesn't support 120 hertz,
Oh
so
yeah, so then you got
but more people are playing, so that's nice. Just have the graphical enhancements, it's cool. Got about a few ways into Yakuza Like a Dragon,
yes.
and that game, it is so weird. I really haven't played anything like it. It's definitely a JRPG, and I played other games like it in that sense, but it's very unique. The turn-based combat I thought was going to be a turn off for me because I don't really play turn-based games besides grand strategy games like Europa Universalis. But even then, it's really good turn-based combat. It's super fast-paced, so it doesn't even feel like you're taking turns most of the time. I mean, obviously, once you get your full party, it can feel that way, but it's really not that bad compared to other turn-based games where you really have to take your time and be methodical about it. But above all else, the narrative is fantastic. That's why I'm playing it. I got the Japanese voice acting with the English subtitles, so some things are a little corny in the subtitles and some things don't really come over that well in translation, but the narrative overall is just fantastic. I believe I'm on chapter 4 and I can't wait to keep playing it, but I had to put it aside for Demon Souls. I
Yes.
finally fully dedicated myself to that this week because I am going for the platinum. I have about like 23 or 24 trophies out of the 37. I'm almost done with my first playthrough. I only have 2 bosses left to kill, but I need to gather some rings, some miracles, and some spells before I do that. Um, in that game, I it's a 10 out of 10. It has been, since I played it the first night the PS5 came out, and I've not changed my opinion at all since then. It's a absolute masterpiece and by far the best thing to play on PS5 right now. But that's been me for this week. How about yourself?
So I have been grinding Valhalla. Um I've beaten like the first 4 arcs or something like that probably. I
Oh
just
wow.
got to Asgard and I mean yeah, I'm liking it. It's definitely a step up compared to Odyssey in the narrative department for the main story. And side content in the game. I talked about it last week. I think we talked about it last week. Yeah,
I believe
and
so.
dude, the side content just with it being so short and not being like an hour to go across the map to go find one item in a base, everything is so close to your objective now, and you still have the narrative benefits of the side missions just without having to go across the map to go do something. Like usually you do a side mission, you're gonna have to go, fast travel and then go ride your horse for like 5 minutes to go find the location, and then go all the way back to the guy, then go somewhere else. Now here in Valhalla, I mean it's right, maybe a minute ride away on your horse at the max. So it's a lot less grindy to do the side missions, but there's still a ton of different side missions to do. So I've been enjoying it. I've also been playing a lot of Call of Duty. I finally tried out zombies for the first time.
Oh, I love the zombies.
We
I do like
tried to do the Easter egg, and someone died with the gun that you needed. So then we were
ooh.
trying to get it from box, and by doing the challenges, and we couldn't get it back, and then we all died. So, but yeah, it was fun on zombies, and what's multiplayer? We grinded a lot of that.
I
Just
cannot stand the multiplayer of that game, but I'm glad you're enjoying it.
I am enjoying it. Nuketown just came out today. I haven't tried it yet, but in a little bit I will, and it'll be double XP for like the whole week. So I'm gonna grind it some more. I finally started using the AK. The thing just shreds. And then also I beat Miles Morales earlier in the week. So in that
Ooh.
review, I'll be working on. Um, hopefully I'll get it out. In the next couple
Yeah,
days.
I
It's a
I
little
haven't
bit
played Miles.
late after launch at this point. We're at the 20 days. What is it? 22 days probably. So I don't know how many views that's gonna get, but it will be out eventually. I took my time
Eventually.
with the game because just the sheer amount of content that came out around that time, and overall I enjoyed it. I don't think I liked it more than the original Spider-Man game from 2018. Well, not the
As
original,
expected.
but yeah. Um, yeah, I felt like the narrative was down in some areas. I had a few very small issues with certain things in the main story. I'm not going to dive into it here because spoilers, but
Yeah, I haven't played it since launch day, so please no
yeah,
spoilers.
I know. One like minor complaint that I had was like the cops just like disappear from the main story, and I don't know why they do. And it's such a small fucking thing, but it makes no sense because the entire like premises of the main story at the end of the game can just be not an issue if the cops are there to help, and they just disappear, and it's just like Roxxon and the bad guys in the game. I forget what the fuck the bad guys are called, Fisk Group or whatever. I don't. They had a name, but I don't remember at this
Oh,
point.
the people with like the high tech
Yeah,
weapons
them.
and stuff. The
But
underground,
yeah, the underground. That's
I
what I'm
think.
thinking of. Yeah, and it's just like those two groups, and the cops are nowhere to be found. But then when you do side missions and stuff, the cops are all there. So it makes no sense. I mean, and the cops were in the main story at the beginning of the game. So did they all go on vacation? No one knows.
Yeah, I played the beginning, and you're literally in a police
Yes,
convoy in the opening
they're
screen
all
of the
there in the
game. So
beginning, and then mid game they all go bye bye. Don't understand
they
it.
just heard Dunkin' Donuts was having a sale and just all
Yeah.
peaced out.
Oh, and then one more thing, going back to Valhalla. So, when they said that the game would have a settlement system, I thought you'd be recruiting different like characters to go join your settlement from like side missions stuff. Like kind of like in Fallout 4, how at times like
Yeah,
you can go do and then recruit them and they come back to your place, and you'd have like named characters along with the normal random settlers. And so far, I mean, I've done. I mean, there's a lot of side missions in this game, so it could change as I get farther in. But I've still done like a solid almost 100 maybe of these side missions already. And I haven't gotten any humans to come to our base through a side mission. Like, I've
I only
gotten
got
3 animals. You got one?
yeah. It was the Legend of the Berserker DLC mission. You can do that, and then he comes
Who can you
back
get
after
from that? I did that
the
mission.
Berserker.
Who?
The Berserker himself. He comes and join you.
What?
What? He yeah. After his well, spoilers for side mission in Valhalla, but after his well, you avenge his family, and then his bear dies. He comes back and joins you because he has like nothing else in his life. It's a bit morbid, but yeah, he joins up with you. The legendary Berserker dude.
Bro, am I
At
fucking
least in my
losing.
game.
Am I losing my mind right now?
I don't know, man.
Alright,
I
wait.
mean, I was able to
Who's
do
the
them all.
legendary berserker? Who am I fucking thinking about here? Is it the guy
Well,
who was killing the people? Who had killed the cows
it's
and all
in.
that?
I don't think so. It's a DLC mission that you get for I think pre-order
Yeah,
in the game or
I
the
played that
ultimate.
because I know I played that mission.
It's in East Anglia. He has
Yes.
like a white bear that follows him around. And you go raiding with him to avenge his family. Then the bear dies, and then you join him.
I must be thinking of a different mission, dude. I don't know.
You must. You must be, because you can bring some people back, but again, that was a DLC mission, so I don't know if it's the same for everyone's
So I
playthrough. But
could
one
have
thing I did,
swore I did like the DLC mission that came with it, unless we got. Because I got like a pre-order mission. Did you have to do a mission about like this dude who was killing cows? Who's like who was turning into a
yeah,
creature?
Beowulf.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
so you did
Legend
that
of
mission too?
Beowulf. Yeah, I did that. They're in the same area of the map, East Anglia, both
So
of them.
was that
So
mission like a pre-order bonus? I could have swore that was like the pre-order bonus. That
I
mission.
think it was, but there was another Legend of the Berserker. That's the
Bro,
one.
I'm Googling this.
But one thing I did want to touch on about COD Cold War is that I actually bought it a second time for PS5 because I wanted to check out the haptic feedback. And my setup was, because I've beaten this game 3 times already, and to be honest, it's pretty freaking easy compared to every other Call of Duty, even Modern Warfare. Actually, I don't know, they're about the same in difficulty, the new Modern Warfare and Cold War. However, I wanted to do just kind of like a super realism playthrough, so I obviously did realism difficulty, but even then you have to manually turn off the hit markers and crosshair. So I did that. I have the 3D audio headset, and the haptic feedback on the controller, all that combined is by far the most immersive Call of Duty experience I've ever had. The haptic feedback with the guns is no joke. Every gun does feel different. The adaptive triggers are an absolute game changer as well. There is resistance when ADSing, there is resistance when pulling the trigger, and it is different depending on the gun that you're firing. I mean, as soon as you open up Nowhere Left to Run, the first mission in the game, and I picked the MP5 and I just let loose in that apartment. It felt crazy, especially with all those settings I just stated. So if you guys are looking to play Cold War and you don't really have any interest in the multiplayer, the zombies, and you just want the best experience for the campaign, the Series X version does run better technically, but the overall immersive experience is better on PS5, undoubtedly.
Okay. Anyway, back to Valhalla, and then I'll go back to COD because I have something I need to talk about on that. But on Valhalla, I found these fucking 2 kids in the middle of the woods. No parents. Their parents died or something. They're starving. I'm like, yeah, there's no way you're not going to recruit them, have them just come to your settlement and live there, right? No, you have the choice to give them money, food, or yell at them because they stole some money.
Oh, you can't kill them?
Nah, you can't kill the kids. You can't pull an Anakin Skywalker. But
Damn.
I was like, why can't you just bring them back to your place, even if you never talk to them again? And I mean, I have found like different like animals that you could bring back. I found a wolf that you can take back. I found a cat that lives on your boat, and then I found a fox that could come back to your place too. So I mean, there's some stuff, and like you said, I guess there is some people like, that you can recruit to your raiding crew.
Yeah.
Like through the main story and stuff, and then that
You
one side mission that you
contract them
mentioned.
out.
But so far from like the mystery side missions, a lot less than what I expected. Which I mean, maybe that will change as I progress through the story, but we'll have to see. And then going back to COD, I wanted to circle around and talk about the ending. I was so disappointed about the ending. Now, spoilers in case you haven't played the single player. Skip ahead a few minutes. But I was just disappointed.
By what, getting capped by Adler?
Yes. That made me so fucking mad.
What are you gonna do, man? I mean, well, you already gave the spoiler warning. You're a brainwashed Soviet agent. At any time, you could fall back on what you truly believed in before you switched sides. You're a liability. Like, sure, you helped, but how long is that gonna be maintained? You know what I mean? To the
I know, it's
CIA,
true.
you are a liability, and to America, you are a liability. And if I was in Adler's position, I sure as hell wouldn't be trusting Bell, even if he did help. Because at any time, you can just go back, just flip right back to the Soviet agent status.
Oh,
And
no, but here's the thing that we flipped, like, in the end of the game, like, you know how you could have taken people hostage? All those people, like, they give little reports to them, all the other people that we flipped over and made them loyal to us.
yeah,
I mean, none of those guys are getting fucking capped. I mean, now obviously
Well,
they didn't
yeah,
get fucking brainwashed by the
well,
Americans.
because they were blackmailed. There's blackmail, and then there's like a threat of torture and capture.
Yeah.
But it's for those guys like Kasim Javadi. But when it comes to you yourself, you were like a Perseus loyalist. You were probably, they kind of imply
Top
you were
dog,
the,
yeah.
yeah, you were top dog in his crew, and at any point, it could just revert back to that, and you don't know when, and you don't want to be sleeping one night and have a knife stuck in your throat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So from Adler's perspective, it makes a lot of sense, in my opinion. And
Anyway, I'm
Adler
thinking
does
the
kill
canon
Bell.
ending to that was both of you shoot each other and kill each other at the same time. That's the canon
I think
ending.
Adler just kills Bell because there's no way they're gonna waste him by not bringing him into the next Black Ops game, because he is for sure a part of Perseus. I mean, like, it's kind of plain as day that Adler isn't who he says he is. I'm pretty sure when you ask him about his scar, he has different answers that he'll give you depending on
Yeah.
your playthrough. And if you do the alternate ending, the bad ending, that is most certainly not canon, where you kill Mason Woods and Adler.
Yeah.
It's revealed that Perseus is a collective, not an individual.
Yeah.
So Adler, I believe, is most definitely a part of that. And Raven tried their best to hide it, but I really don't think they did a good job of it. I'm pretty sure we're going to see in the next sequel or the sequel after that, Adler's double agent. Or
Now,
triple
how much
agent.
can they really, like, do with the Black Ops storyline at this point? Like, how much can they really milk Woods and Mason? Because
They have
they're catching
3
up to
years.
the BO2 storyline, aren't they? Like, how many years do
Yeah,
they have?
3 years.
Ah,
Because BO2 is in 84 for the past missions. At least that's where it starts. And then 81 is where Cold War takes place. So they have 3 years to do whatever.
Now, I don't know if you felt like this, but I felt like Woods and Mason were kind of afterthought in this game. Like, I feel like you can originally see that this game, because they were working on the story before Treyarch got brought in, right? And this story, it feels like they kind of just copy and pasted Woods and Mason in, and then threw in like those 2 or 3 missions that you play as them. Am I the only one who feels that way? I don't know.
I don't know. The opening mission you play as Mason, and that's one of my favorites. And then the Yamentown mission where you go back, you play as him, and then the 2 side missions you play as Mason as well.
Yeah.
And again, personally, I know you're of a different mindset. I would have preferred just playing as Mason the entire game, like the other Black Ops games.
Oh yeah, I agree.
But it might have been an afterthought. But at the same time, I don't think it was, because I believe they chose a different voice actors when they were under the impression that this was a reboot. And then it got flipped to a direct sequel, and they didn't bother changing the voice actors. So I feel like their capacity in the game was the way it was meant to be from the start, personally.
Okay.
I do think that they were limited in how much they were used. And I think it was like kind of lazy. I would have liked to see way more of them. They're only in one safe house briefing with you too. I don't know. I just wish they were in the game more, and I wish it was just the old crew for the entire game. I like Adler, I like Sims. Lazar and Park are cliche and corny. I don't really like them. I just don't see why it couldn't have been the old crew with like Adler and Sims, and that would have been it. Hopefully for the next game it'll be like that, because Bell's dead. Park or Lazar, or both of them are dead, depending on the player's actions. Hopefully both. To be honest.
Wait, what did you do? What choice did you pick?
I did all 3 of them. But my first time I saved Lazar. But hopefully
I was a simp.
Yeah, no, I saved Lazar the first time, saved Park the second time, left them both to rot in Cuba for the 3rd time. But I would prefer that to be the canon ending, because I really don't like them as characters. They're just background characters, and they don't really add anything. They're kind of annoying.
I kind of felt like they're gonna be fucking dying there, just because you haven't played with them at all, and then you just go off with the 2 of them at the end of like the last mission of the game.
It was pretty predictable.
And then the second they're like, oh, let's hook up individually. Like, what the fuck?
Like, Bell, you go first.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, this is how it's ending.
A hilarious part about that too is like Lazar shouts "take cover," and then there's a solid like 3 to 4 seconds before the RPG hits and knocks you out. He could have just shot the person in that time.
Yeah.
Instead of saying "take cover," they all would have been alive. But I don't know. I do hope that they're all capped, including Bell, and that the next game is just Adler, Sims, Mason, and Woods, and then it would be infinitely better than Cold War's campaign, which I really liked, and I gave an 8 out of 10 in my review, which you can find at thegamepreview.com.
Yes. Okay, well, I think it's time to dive into the world of Bluepoint games. Now, there was a tweet from 2019, and I'm going to read it to you. So calm this spooky night. A symphony of rumors, not one but 2, return from the shadow. A resistance to dart home as black monsters escape twisted hills to wander lands and siphon souls. Filter your candy collection soft from solid, and be eco-friendly. Now,
okay, there's a few things that it could be, because, and I just picked up on this one right now. The so calm could be so calm, as in U.S. Navy SEALs. It could be that. The soft from software, and the siphon souls, that was probably Demon
There's a
Souls.
chance that they're just being fucking complete assholes here and just doing this because they know people are going to read into it. And that's probably the more likely option. I mean,
Symphony is Castlevania Symphony of the Night, obviously, and then Solid, Metal Gear Solid 1 Remake, which is probably the most likely one, and the one I hope out of all of them to come out. I still hope, and it could allude to a Bloodborne remaster in there, but a Bloodborne remaster wouldn't take nearly as much work, because it wouldn't need a remake just to like upgrade visually and frame rate wise.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one that's been teased the most by like people in the community as well is Metal Gear Solid getting a remake or a reboot or something. And I mean, if Bluepoint's gonna do it, they're gonna fucking do an amazing job based off what we've seen from the previous games. I mean, I expect them to get acquired by Sony very soon.
I hope they don't. I hope they can stay with their free agent status so they can remake whatever they want if a company approaches them. But it would be a smart move for Sony
Yeah.
logistically to acquire them, so that'll probably happen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going on with Konami. If it's going to be a licensing deal, if Sony acquired them, who the hell knows what's going on. But
I don't think Sony acquired them outright. I do feel like it'd be a licensing agreement to remake their games, or maybe they bought the IPs itself. But
yeah,
Konami has a lot of like physical business in Japan with pachinko machines and casinos and stuff, so I don't think Sony would be interested in acquiring that.
yeah. But
They
not
don't really
much
have
to
the
go
cash
off of
for it.
here besides rumors. But that is our take on that.
I mean,
Now,
whatever they do, they're gonna do an incredible job. Shadow of the Colossus is just beautiful to look at, that remake, and it
I
plays
haven't played it, but
wonderfully.
it's on the list.
It's great. And
The
then
infamous
obviously
list.
Demon's Souls. I've already sung the praises of this show and the past two shows, and just yeah, Bluepoint, I love you. You're easily in my top 5 devs right now. Just keep on at it, and please remake Metal Gear Solid. Thank you.
Now, something that we do know is confirmed is a James Bond game coming from IO Interactive. Now, me personally, when I saw that IO Interactive was announcing a brand new IP, I was excited because I want to see them do something brand new, and to see that they're doing this, it's essentially Hitman to me. That was my only little source of disappointment, but this game is going to be fucking incredible because the last two Hitman games were incredible. Hitman 3 is going to be incredible. I feel very confident in saying that,
I do
and I
too.
can't wait
I
to play
back
that in
you up on that.
January. And this will be really fucking good, this game. I have no doubt about that. The only thing I'd be concerned about is, like, how they're going to do driving and stuff like that, because if this is
They
what I
might not.
expect it to be, a kind of a copy and paste from Hitman, I don't know how they would do driving with that engine unless they completely rehaul it or have like another studio come in to help them out.
Well, I'll tell you this. It's definitely not going to be a carbon copy of Hitman because they are still hiring people for it, so it is early in development.
Yeah,
Um, I think it's going to have a lot of similarities, but that's a great thing. I mean, you think
because they
about
did it
Agent
good in Hitman.
47. Yeah, you think about Agent 47 and James Bond. I mean, they're pretty much capable of the same exact things. One's
Yeah,
just a killer for hire, one's just a killer for the government. Um, they could really, I believe that they're the perfect devs to tackle a game like this. I've played every James Bond game on the, what is it, the seventh generation of consoles, 360 and PS3. Yeah, seventh generation. I played every James Bond game on
I've
there,
only played one.
and of course, GoldenEye on the N64. But the 360 era games are pretty piss poor in terms of objective quality. I like them. I'm a sucker for Quantum of Solace in particular. I really like that game. But overall, they are pretty subpar. And the fact that the Hitman guys are now going to be taking a crack at 007, and I'm a huge James Bond fan when it comes to the movies, so I believe this is a match made in heaven. And I don't think it's going to be exactly like Hitman. It's definitely going to take some key elements that'll make the game phenomenal. And the fact that it's a story, an origin story that is about how Bond obtained his 00 status. You know, we've never seen that before. That's never even been alluded to, really, of what he had to do, and it's going to be a completely original story. I'm very excited to see it. My main thing is who is going to play James Bond in the game, because I
Yeah,
doubt it's going to be Daniel Craig.
that would be
Although that
expensive.
would be awesome. That would be worth the money, but now that they're self-publishing too, I don't think they're going to be able to get it. So who
Yeah,
in the gaming space could be a Bond? It would have to be a Brit, of course. The
yeah.
question is which Brit? I'm not that familiar with British voice actors,
Me either.
so
I don't know.
but somebody, they're out there.
They're out there. They're waiting. I mean, I've only played GoldenEye on the Wii, so that's been my only James Bond experience in gaming. I've watched the movies, of course, but I mean, I'm excited for this. I would imagine they're gonna keep it third person. You don't think they'll go first person, right?
Nah,
Yeah,
no way.
that's too far. And even stealth in first person fucking sucks.
Not necessarily. Games like Dishonored and Prey do it right, but it's very hard to pull off.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, no, it'll definitely be third person to keep in line with what they know, and I think no one will complain about that.
Oh yeah, definitely not.
I'd prefer it to be in third person by a large margin
Same.
compared to first. There are good first person Bond games, but I, the only other third-person one that came out, Bloodstone, was pretty subpar and mediocre. So I would like to see a third-person Bond game done right, and these guys are the guys to do it.
Yeah, I agree. And this could really, because IO Interactive had financial problems around the time of Hitman 2. So, I mean, if they knock this out of the park, this could really set them up for a long time.
I hope so, because they deserve to be out from under the thumb of Square Enix. They didn't appreciate Hitman or what they were trying to do at all, in my opinion.
I agree.
They didn't even view Hitman as valuable. They just let them keep the IP when they casted them out. They were like, go and take it with you. And now Hitman 2 is the best Hitman game ever made. So I think they're doing much better now that they're away from Square. And I think that'll continue with this Bond game. I believe 2023 earliest.
Yeah, 2023 at the earliest in my opinion as well. I mean, maybe 2024 is probably the most likely in my opinion. Because if they're really just starting development now, like, this seems like they just got, like, permission, and they're just tweeting it to get, excitement about it. At least in my opinion. I don't think this game is really... Oh, shit. I don't think this game is really in, like, development at this point. Like, they're very early on, in my opinion.
They're definitely in the conceptual stages, for sure. So, yeah. But I'm glad to know it exists.
Yeah.
I'm glad to know we're getting another Bond game, and I'm very happy Activision doesn't hold the license anymore for it. Very happy about that.
Okay, are you ready to dive into Capcom?
Always.
Alright, well, unfortunately, for Capcom, great news for us.
I was just about to say, unfortunately.
The whole schedule for Capcom, all their new games, well, most of their new games, have gotten leaked. Now, a few of these names are not the actual names. They're going to change. They're code names. But I'm going to read through them, and you let me know what you think when I'm done. So we are looking at Monster Hunter 2, or Monster Hunter Stories 2, and they're saying 21 for that. DGS 12, 21. Shield, 21. Resident Evil Outbreak, 21. Re-Goliath, which I think is what they were saying was the Returnal game. I think that was the code name. Someone came out and said that one of these, or I think 2021 games.
Yeah, I have no idea what Goliath is going to be. I mean...
I'm pretty sure then that's Returnal then. I remember seeing a tweet about one of the 21 games being Returnal, and this was just the code name for it.
What's Returnal? You mean Revelations?
No, Returnal. It's a Capcom game. We saw it at the Sony show.
Oh.
It kind of looked like Death Stranding, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, the one where she keeps dying over and over.
Yeah, there's some weird shit going on in that game. Indies 2... 2022, Indies 2 port 2022, Dragon's Dogma 2 in 2022. I know a lot of people are excited for that. We'll dive into that in a second. Street Fighter 6 2022, Rockman Match 2022, Resident Evil 4 Remake 2022. We'll dive into that in a bit. Onimusha New Work. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly.
Onimusha.
Yes, 2022. Monster Hunter NSG 2022, Shield G 2022. Monster Hunter 6, 2023. Biohazard Apocalypse, 2023.
That would be RE9.
Yes, and we'll talk about that in detail in a little bit. Captain Commando, 23. SS F6, 23. New C, 24. Final Fight Remake, 24. Power Stone Remake, 24. New B, 24. Ultra SF6, 24. And Resident Evil Hank, 24. Now, there are some games that we know are coming that aren't in this, and they're just under code names, I'm assuming. Like, we know an Ace Attorney's game also got leaked pretty recently, and that was from a reliable source, so I'm assuming one of those is a code name for that. And, yeah, let's dive into it, Mike. Take over.
Well, first things first, I want to discuss that RE4 remake. That's the number one thing I'm excited for, because New B is obviously RE10, new Biohazard, so they already have 9 and 10 plotted out after 8. And again, I'm very excited for those, but there's really no point in getting hyped over them until Village is out, and I can experience that. But I'm glad to know that they're still putting a lot of faith into Resident Evil. RE4 remake. RE4 is my second favorite Resident Evil game ever made. I've 100%ed that game. I've beaten on professional. I love it to death. The fact that it'll be remade in the same vein as RE2 and RE3 without the tank controls, with the new graphics, and Nick Apostolitos is coming back to like, and now we'll have a consistent Leon
And
from 2
maybe
to
a new ending
4.
as well. I mean,
Well, I don't really care so much about a new ending, but what I do want is to explain how the hell this dude went from city
no
cop.
spoilers. I haven't played it yet. Oh,
Well,
you're just saying how
the
he went
game
from
is from
cop to Secret
2004.
Service? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know
But I
how
know a
homie
lot
went
of
from
people
city cop to
didn't
Secret
like
Service.
how the game like goes into a lab at the end of the game, similar to every other
I
fucking
mean,
Resident Evil game. So I think people are hoping that they change that part of it while keeping most of the story intact.
it's not really a lab. It's like a whole final island you go to, and there is a lab in there, but it's like the entire area isn't just a lab, and it's not the lab like at the end of RE2R. Um, if they change that, I don't. Whatever. My concern is that RE4 was always lined with a fine layer of cheese in its dialogue. Like there is always something a little bit cheesy or corny in the, like when Salazar like tells Leon like he's like my brethren or whatever, like you will become part of us, and Leon just goes like no thanks, bro. Like stuff like that is classic. I don't want them to get rid of it. I mean, they probably will because I imagine they'll go for a more serious theme for a modern audience. But some of the dialogue from RE4 or the original is fantastic. Like when Louise meets Ashley, the president's daughter, he's like, "Ooh, I see the president equipped his daughter with ballistics as well." Like that sort of stuff is hilarious. Um, and they probably will get rid of it, but I really don't want them to because it's just so funny. But I can't wait to see how certain things like the cabin are remade. I hope that isn't changed at all from the original. I want it to be the exact same, just with the modern mechanics, because that cabin defense is one of the best sections in any horror game ever made. It's beyond phenomenal. I hope some of the boss fights, like the giant fish, can't remember its name, but it's a fish in a lake. Delgado, I think his name is, or something. I forget. People, if any RE4 fans are in the comments, they're gonna tear me up as a fake fan. But it's I can't remember the name of the damn fish. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, people, but it's a boss fight where you're in like a little rinky-dinky wooden boat. And you have to throw spears at it. It's very obtuse and it can be annoying. So I hope stuff like that is modernized. But overall, I hope they keep it mainly the same. And I think we're gonna see how it's sort of gonna be in Village, because Village is definitely taking cues from 4. So I think that'll kind of be like the precursor to the 4 remake, and
Yeah.
I'm excited. I hope there's no cut content too.
Yeah.
That's my main
Now,
thing.
according to Dust Golem, that this Resident Evil Outbreak listing, which they're saying quarter 4 of fiscal year 21, which is technically the start of 2022, is Revelations 3. So, what are your thoughts on that? Because I've never played the Revelation games before.
I never beat the second one, but I did beat the
Fake
first
fan.
one. Resident Evil Revelations 2 is a lot different than any other game because you have to swap back and forth between 2 characters, one that can actually defend themselves and one that can't, almost like a support character. And for that reason, it's kind of, a bit of a foreign prospect to a regular Resident Evil fan. But
Yeah.
Resident Evil Revelations 1 is just straight up a connecting bridge between 4 and 5. And I really like Revelations 1. The final boss was a little bit BS at first, but Revelations overall is a really good game, and it was made for like the 3DS at first, so each level is only like 15 minutes, so you can play it like really quickly. But there's a lot of levels in turn because of that. Um, so a third game, I'm really excited to see what they do. I hope they drop the whole like, because you could split screen RE2R, but it or not RE2R, Resident Evil Revelations 2, RER2. Damn Capcom and their acronyms, man. But I don't want that because none of my friends ever wanted to co-op that game because the one person literally just stands there and does nothing for most of the time. So I
Yeah.
want them it was a unique concept. I want them to ditch it though. Make R3 more in line with the first Revelations. Make it look nice and beautiful with the graphics of Village, and honestly, I know Revelations has always been more of like a Redfield storyline, but Jill was in the first Revelations, and canonically, we haven't seen Jill since RE5, so I would like her to be the protagonist of Resident Evil Revelations 3.
Yeah.
Her and Chris again, or something like that. But
Cool.
I'm very excited for it. I think they're gonna knock it out of the park because even though I didn't beat Revelations 2, I know it's pretty good. I don't think it's as good as the first one, but I'm excited to see where they continue it. And I'm glad that they didn't let it die or cancel it or whatever.
Now, what do you think of Dragon's Dogma?
I never beat the original Dragon's Dogma, but I really liked it a lot, and I do intend on replaying it pretty soon. I definitely need to find time to fit it into my schedule, but I just Dragon's Dogma was really unique when I played it back in the day, and I appreciate it for that. And I know a lot of people love it, and they think it's an incredible RPG, and it very well might be. I just haven't played enough of it to know that. So I know very there's going to be a very happy group of campers when that game comes out, and I am for sure going to get it and play it. I hope that it's more successful than the first, so that there's a third.
Yeah.
Because I I will say this, even though I didn't play much as Dragon's Dogma, I remember like the entirety of the opening hour because it's just so good. It's kind of iconic. It's a cult classic, but that opening hour I won't forget because it was just so unique from other RPGs I was playing at the time, like Skyrim and whatnot. So I definitely want to replay the first one. I'm excited that they're continuing it and finally giving the IP a second shot because it definitely deserves it.
Okay, well, on that note, Sony was teasing a response to Game Pass. You want to dive into that, or anything else you guys say about Capcom?
I remembered the fish's name. It's Del Lago.
You definitely just Googled that.
I didn't. I was Googling it, but I couldn't find it. I typed in
Okay.
fish in RE4 and black bass came up because you can just like get fish and eat them in the game.
Yeah.
But I remember it's Del Lago.
Okay, so do you think Sony will actually become a competitor to Game Pass? Because I
I don't
don't.
think they will.
I don't think they
No,
will. I don't think.
they don't.
I think they have too much pride to be willing to give away their 60 or now their $70 AAA exclusives.
Yeah, Demon Souls is not going on PlayStation Pass or whatever
That's
it's
what I'm saying. I mean, I think what they will end up doing is lower end titles will go onto the service, whether it's a new one or if they're expanding the PlayStation Plus collection or PlayStation Now. I think we'll see games like Bugsnax and Destruction All Stars like we're already seeing with how they're going for free technically on PlayStation Plus for like 3 months or whatever. I think you'll
Yeah.
see those games on a service like this at launch, and you'll see maybe older games come to it like 2, 3 years down the line. But I don't think it'll ever be like how Microsoft handles it, where whenever Halo comes out, getting it at launch. When Starfield comes out, getting that at launch. I don't think we'll see that.
Yeah, and I mean, Game Pass, you gotta remember, it's not just a Xbox thing. It's on PC and it's on mobile too.
Yeah,
So,
and
they
streaming.
Sony, yeah, and Sony is definitely not gonna have the money, or again, they aren't gonna relinquish their pride in the slightest to allow their games to be played on your phone or on your PC. They want you to keep you on the PlayStation hardware itself, which is where Microsoft will pull ahead because they do still care about hardware, absolutely, but software is the name of their game now. That's what they're trying to capitalize on. That's why Game Pass has been booming because they've been putting so much into it. It's $15 and you get online play. You get over 100 games every month. You can download them. You don't have to stream them, which is another benefit. You can play them on your phone if you have a Samsung or an Android, and that's not Microsoft's fault. That's Apple's because they're just being stupid and not allowing it, which is actually why I'm switching to a Samsung with my next phone. And on top of all of that, it's just the variety of games. They aren't bottom of the barrel. They're good. They're really good. You have some bona fide masterpieces on Game Pass that are never coming out because, like you said, Microsoft will just put their IPs on there and they'll leave them on there because they can afford to do it. Now you have all Bethesda, you have Halo, you have Gears of War, you have Forza. There's just so much. They're going to be acquiring more studios, obviously. The Medium is going to be a day one Game Pass title. That's how I'm going to be playing it,
Yep,
and the fact that you can play these games again, and xCloud is still in beta, it's important to note, but it is going to become something in the mainstream, I believe, within the next 5 years.
I
And
agree.
the fact that you'll be able to play all these amazing looking games on your phone and on any other platform that you have because your membership just covers all of it, that's an unbeatable deal. And again, Sony doesn't want to relinquish the pride or shell out the cash to do something like that. So they'll be a competitor of sorts, in my opinion. They'll definitely have their own service. They would be fools to not capitalize on it now with how good Game Pass is doing. But I don't think it won't reach the same audience or achieve the same revenue that Microsoft is bringing in with it, because they aren't that type of company.
I agree. Well, on that note, we have the Game Awards, December 10th.
Yes, we
Now,
do.
I don't think we're going to dive into every single topic, but we did want to talk about the Game of the Year nominations, at least this week, and maybe next week we'll do a much bigger representation of it, because that will be about 5 days before it.
Before we start, I just want to preface this by saying, just because the Game Awards has, a Game of the Year award that they give out, does not make that Game of the Year, people. The Game Awards is a social construct, okay? Your Game of the Year is whatever you want to be, and there are other outlets that will have their own Game of the Year awards, and I imagine we could even do one ourselves and make our own list, our top 10 games of the year, and our Game of the Year. Yeah, and you want to know what? It'll be better than what wins Game of the Year at the Game Awards, because it's rigged, man. It's rigged. You just have to look at the categories to know that it's rigged. I don't care. Look, I'm going to watch it. We're going to stream it live here on our channel and give commentary and reactions to all of it, so if you guys want to tune in for that, more than welcome to. But we know what's going to win Game of the Year. We know, because it's what the industry wants to win, but it's not what the players want to win. I'll tell you that right now.
Well, this player over here voted for it. And I know it's only matters of 10% of the vote. The critics get the 90%, and
which is absurd because they don't know what they're talking about. But whatever.
Well, Mike, I'm sure people say the same to us when they read our reviews.
Okay, that's fine.
But
they're entitled to their opinion, just like I'm entitled to mine.
Now, here's why I voted for The Last of Us Part 2. All right, I didn't like the narrative. I didn't. I hated the narrative.
Written. It was terribly written. It makes no sense, and it's filled with plot holes everywhere. It's you just fall into them.
Give me a second. If you can see my second monitor, I have my my votes open. For best narrative, I gave the Ghost of Tshumia, which we're going to talk a little bit about in a little bit. But for the Game of the Year, it says recognizing a game that delivers the absolutely best experience across all creative and technical fields. And when I read that, that really made me think. Yeah, I don't like the narrative of The Last of Us Part 2. But the graphics were the best graphics I've ever seen in the game. The voice acting was the best voice acting I've ever seen. The animations were the best animations I've ever seen in the game. Everything besides the narrative was the best I've ever seen in a video game. Was The Last of Us Part 2. The best accessibility. The best, I don't know about the best gunplay. I can't say that. But
definitely not.
But everything besides gameplay, gunplay, and the narrative, I had to give to it. I mean, if you go compare it to Ghost of Tsushima, which I know that's what Mike is going with. I mean, I like Ghost of Tsushima.
I'm ready to do
I enjoyed it a lot. But there were parts of it, and because it's an open world game, like when you do a side mission, the animations of like talking to that person and the graphics of it, they'd bring it out really far away, so you couldn't actually see the detail, and they'd have a lack of detail on these characters when you're getting a side mission. And I mean, every cutscene in The Last of Us Part 2, even the ones that you weren't supposed to find and were more side ones, had a full scale, and it looked like it came from a fucking movie. I mean, the quality of so much of The Last of Us Part 2 puts it ahead of Ghost of Tsushima for me. And
I'll say,
that's
I want to say this. If a pile of shit is shiny, does that make it any less of a pile of shit? Because, I'm sorry, The Last of Us 2, yes, it has incredible graphics. But that's about it for me, honestly. I cannot stand that game, because if it was the first Last of Us, it could work, sure. But it's not. It's a sequel. And not only is it a sequel, it's a direct sequel. And it takes a massive...
So you don't think Ashley Johnson did a good job?
No, she did a good job.
She did a great job. Troy Baker did a great job with the very few opportunities he had.
But the lines they were given
Bailey.
were... The lines they were given were terrible. Like, you can have a good actor, but if what they're saying is just nonsense, then I don't care how well it's delivered. The thing about Ghost of Tsushima is that the voice acting, English or Japanese, is phenomenal. And you have well-written dialogue on top of that, and a killer story, which by the time I was fighting the final boss and killing Khotan Khan, I was screaming out loud like, yeah! And not out of like anger or frustration, but because I was so happy, because it was such a great fight, and everything led up to that moment perfectly. And just the entire time from start to finish in Ghost of Tsushima, I never got bored. And honestly, after we finished our top 10 games of the generation, I was mad because I was like, damn, I forgot about Ghost of Tsushima. And that wouldn't have even been an honorable mention. That would have been a numbered game on my list for sure. It's just, first of all, graphically, I do think it looks better than The Last of Us 2. Maybe not as like on the level, like the just the levels of detail. Maybe it's not as intricate, maybe it's not as like fine tuned, but just walking through the world, the S- Sucker Punch's creation
I mean,
of
yeah, it was a very
Tsushima
pretty game. I'll give
is
it that.
beautiful to look at. Every single frame was a screenshot. I can't say that about Last of Us 2, but every single time I rode through a field or was in a battle or just doing whatever, performing a haiku or writing one rather, every single shot, every single time the camera panned even an inch, it was just always a constant screenshotable moment. It was just unbelievably beautiful with the art style. And for me, a narrative trumps all other aspects of a game. I believe story is the most important part of a video game, and really, The Last of Us 2 was completely terrible. Like, I'm sorry, Neil Druckmann, you're a terrible writer. Well, I'll take that back. You were a great writer back in 2013 when you had people to rein you in, but then when you just have no one to hold you back, it's you come out with complete and utter BS. And I'm not gonna take it back, dude, because you'll never see this, one. And two, you really irked me. You really buttered my egg roll, and I'm not a fan of it. You take beloved characters and you want them to fill a specific role for your new story. So you write them in a way that doesn't even make them seem like the same people. The only time Joel and Ellie felt like Joel and Ellie were in the flashbacks, but in this new game that you've made, they aren't even the same people. They don't act the same way, they don't talk the same way, they don't have the same emotions, they don't have the same driving forces of motivation behind them. They're practically different people. When you have Joel, just a venerable survivor who has been doing this for as long as he has been able to, because he was alive pre-outbreak, and you're telling me he meets a random person, and instead of letting her die like he would have, because keep in mind, someone was in the middle of the street begging for help in the first game, and he ran them over because he knew that they were bad, and you're telling me this guy meets a random woman who is lurking around outside of their settlement, dressed in all black, clearly up to no good. Instead of just letting her die, not only do you just insert yourself in this situation, you tell him your first name and where you live. That doesn't make any sense, but you wanted him to do that, Neil, so that he would die. But it doesn't make any sense. It's terribly written. You want these characters to fulfill certain plot points, but here's the problem: the characters were already written beforehand. You can't just change them into something that you want them to be for the sake of reaching a plot point. That's shitty writing, Neil. That is terrible writing. You have to have the characters interact and grow organically, and then whatever may come after, but it has to make sense, and nothing about The Last of Us 2 does, especially sparing Abby, which you yourself admit she was going to die 50% of development, and then you changed it halfway through because you felt like it. But again, that doesn't make a good story. You can't just change the ending because, oh, you felt like it, this makes more sense. No, you wrote up to that in the first place, and that would have even made the game half decent. But then you spare her for no reason, just to have Last of Us 3 because you like this
Yeah.
character. And I believe it's out of spite, because the real fans hate it. And then you see that and you're like, oh, well, we're just going to bring Abby back and make her the main protagonist for the next game. And again, like, there's just disproportionate rules. Like, how the hell does Lev, that little ass scrawny kid, get rocked by Fat Geralt, has their head slam into a garage door, and they're still alive, or they don't have a brain bleed, there's no damage at all, like they're fine? Bullshit. Any human being would die. It doesn't, or just like be comatose or have brain damage or something. Like, that is not a little hit. And there's just so many other things that don't make a lick of sense. I just, there are, I can't even talk about it for that long because then I just start getting mad because it's so obvious what they could have done to make the game good. And they just cap Jesse and nothing ever comes of it. Like, oh, father of the child, he doesn't fucking matter. Kill him. He's gone, and no one cares, and they never talk about Jesse ever again. He just didn't matter, apparently. So, hashtag justice for Jesse. They don't care, and after she kills Jesse and Joel and beats her to death, she lets her live to what? Stop the cycle of violence that Abby herself has been perpetuating way more so than Ellie has the entire game by literally turning on her entire crew and killing all of them for people that she's known for 48 hours. Like, okay, dude. Um, and just another minor thing that doesn't make any sense. Listen, I do MMA and I work out, and there's no way Abby could be that buff in the apocalypse unless she was sneaking like 15
Bro, they
burritos a
had a
day.
whole gym at the fucking
If
football
you,
field.
it's
Whole
about
gym.
calories. It's about
Whole
calories,
gym.
Frank.
They
You
ate two
have to consume.
burritos.
You
She
have to
ate two
consume a
burritos,
certain
bro.
amount of calories to get
Two
muscles like that to
burritos.
burn them off. 2 burritos would not be enough. He's like Hulk goddamn Hogan. It wouldn't be enough. There aren't enough burritos for the entire freaking population of the football stadium that could get her that buff. And again, unless you're stealing food out of the hands of babes, you're not getting that buff, Abby. I'm sorry. It just doesn't make any sense. But no, you want certain plot points to happen. And who the hell sends a pregnant girl out into combat?
All right,
Are you out
yes.
of your mind? Are you out of your mind? That doesn't make like, oh, I've been cleared for combat. Who's your fucking doctor? Who would be that utterly brain dead to send an 8-month pregnant woman out into combat, and then she dies, and you get mad at Ellie for that, who didn't even know she was pregnant, and then you try and use some manipulative ass bullshit to make Abby look like the better person because she spared the pregnant chick in Ellie's life. First of all, the pregnant chick in Abby's life shouldn't have been out. 1, 2. By the time Ellie and Dina were already out, Dina told Ellie that she was pregnant, and Ellie offered for her to go back, but she refused. And it wasn't even noticeable. It was super noticeable with Mel. And then Mel dies. Ellie feels terrible about it because, again, didn't know she was pregnant. But again, she shouldn't have even been there. And then when Abby's about to kill Dina, she's told she's pregnant, and she says, good. That's a terrible fucking person. How am I supposed to like this person? And you use just manipulative writing throughout the entire story, Neil. Like you say, we will never have to kill a dog. And the only time you have to really kill a dog is as Ellie. Like, there's so much manipulative nonsense where it's like, okay, Abby's good, Ellie's bad, and we're just gonna use baseless bullshit to accomplish that goal. But again, my main thing above all else is that you write these characters to have them feed into plot points that do not fit their characters. And you just want to achieve that just for the sake of propelling your story forward, even if it makes no sense for the characters to act in the manner that they do. And for that reason, above all else, The Last of Us 2 does not deserve to be Game of the Year. It doesn't. When you completely rape your characters and you just undo everything the first game accomplished, the Ellie Joel dynamic, which was the main reason for liking the game, is gone and ruined and buried and burned and pissed on. Like, they just don't have any respect for what got them to this point. And they're like, okay, now we're going to do what I want to do from the start with characters that I already created, regardless of how it should really play out, because I'm a sad little bitch. I do not like Neil Druckmann, if you guys couldn't tell.
Oh, we could tell. We could tell, Mike.
I'm sorry I went on a tangent, but you can't say that a single thing of what I just said isn't true.
I mean, you're right. I mean, the narrative had its flaws. Big flaws. Many flaws. I don't know.
Listen, you're right when it comes to the graphics and the mechanics, and it definitely has the best accessibility options I've ever seen in a game. I'll give it that. But it's just so stupid. It's just so stupid. And I hope someone who loves The Last of Us 2 comments like a whole tirade there, because I don't even have to say anything back. Because everything that just proves that the game is terrible, I've already stated. And again, if you like it, more power to you. That's fine. I'm not here to tell you how to live your life. But objectively, the story and narrative is terribly written and is very, very bad and subpar and doesn't make any logical sense whatsoever.
Okay, well,
I have spoken.
You have spoken, and on that note, anything else you'd like to add before we end this episode?
Vote for Ghost of Tsushima. Game of the Year. Do it. You won't regret it. And if you haven't played it, play it. It's a masterpiece.
All right. Well, you heard it from Mike. Go do what you wish. Neil Druckmann, if you're watching this, do not send a hit squad after us.
Try me, Neil.
And well, thank you guys for watching. Once again, we'll be seeing you guys in the next episode. Have a good one.
Peace, guys.